The Africans learned to speak English from them coming down there. They've been working with them so much, capturing other black Africans and shipping them off. That's how often they were down there.
The transatlantic slave trade dominated West Africa. For some kingdoms, selling slaves became an economic necessity. And all along the
what that means is it's an economic necessity. What that means is that kingdom was dependent on its welfare, on the trading and the capturing or the stealing, the kidnapping and stealing and selling other Africans. That's how dependent this kingdom was on these crimes against humanity that were committed against those of us who landed in the New World after being captured and caught and sold. The whole kingdom depended on them selling us. That's what these people are saying to you. That's what these African scholars are saying to you in this video right here. Fair use.
Coast, new trading settlements were springing up.
In the 17th century, the Atlantic slavery became the most important activity on the coast. We find that almost every town, coastal town, and almost every European fort and castle was involved in slave trading. So we have about 65 slave markets in Ghana alone.
Look, I mean, okay, this is an African scholar telling you, brothers and sisters, there was 65 slave forts in Africa alone on the coast. 65 alone. The most important thing coming off the west coast of Africa for 300 some years, over 300 years, was slavery. And you telling me our brothers and sisters didn't know what they were doing? Are you telling me this? Now you sound foolish. But more importantly, here's what I want you to understand. And I'm gonna say some things that's gonna hurt some people. Those of you who are Black Power, you're into Black history. Why is it that you never tell us this and put it in context? See, I'm looking at it not as a historian. I'm looking at this as a litigator. And I'm seeing these people who participated in these parties, these corporations, these royalties, these royal families. These are necessary parties to this any litigation moving forward having to do with reparations. You can't sue you can't sue London. You can't sue the royal crown in London and not sue the royal crown in Ghana. You can't sue England and not sue Ghana, Nigeria, and Togo, Benin without suing. They're all in it together. So why is it that you haven't laid that out? Why is it that you lied to our people so much? You so-called pro-Black and Black historian. Why is it that you don't tell our people the truth? That our own brothers and sisters sold us into slavery and they owe us a debt, along with the white man and everybody else involved in it. Why is that? And this is why so many young Black people are just so discontent with this whole pro-Black movement and the Black historian. This is because they know you're lying and you're telling them half-truths, and telling a half-truth is just like telling a lie. Okay, so again, I'm looking at it from a point of a litigator and what is important to making sure that everybody involved played a part, and then we'll sort out what their part was. But we at least got to get to the point where we say, you dismissing that. Oh no, they didn't know what they were doing. Oh no, they were just selling criminals of war. They were just selling people who they were selling anybody they could get hold of after a while. Didn't you just hear that woman, the doctor, say that this was their primary source of income? The kingdom would fall unless they don't even have enough prisoners of war to sell. They were kidnapping folks who had nothing to do with any war, didn't have any problem with anybody. Period. They were selling anybody they can get. That's where we at. And I'm very disappointed at these Black scholars for not saying this. And this is why a whole generation of Black folks don't even want to hear about Black history. Period. Because they know you're full of lies and you're doing it for your own benefit. You're trying to follow the status quo in your college. You don't want to offend anybody because you want to keep your damn job. You want to keep writing grants. You want to keep it moving in the same direction so you can get paid, so you can get that tenure. You faking it. And the brothers and sisters are tired of it, period. That's why the reparations movement hadn't gone anywhere in 100 years, because of folks like you in charge of it.
The Africans could hardly have anticipated the consequences of all this, but the bargain they struck with the European slave traders transformed the continent. What started as a local tradition turned into a monster that eventually swallowed 12 million people.
Slavery existed in societies that had no prison systems. It was part of the punitive measures against criminal conduct, criminal behavior. Slaves lost their liberty. They went away, maybe into the neighboring state or the neighboring nation, but only for a season. It was not a long-term loss of liberty. And the children of the slaves, of course, were never slaves in that context. But here, of course, with the transatlantic slave trade, you have a final separation. People went away and they never came back.
Slavery would spirit millions away from the continent. It would be the cause of war and torment, and it would drag both Africa and Europe into a harsh new era.
In the indigenous system, especially in Ghana, no slave owner had the power of life and death over the slave. But in the castle, you could do anything to the slave. You could kill the slave, you could maim the slave, you could mutilate the slave, you could punish the slave as you liked.
All right, so what you just heard her say was that in Ghana, where this slave castle is, no slave owner had the right to kill or take a slave's life. But here's the thing, at this castle, which is also in Ghana, they could see, oh damn, them slaves that we just dropped off over there, they getting killed, beat up, raped, all kind of stuff is happening to them. Damn, they going into a different kind of slavery. Even from that point right there, they understood that this was a different kind of slavery than the slavery that they had been used to for hundreds, maybe thousands of years on the continent. You could see right there, when we drop these people off, we don't even treat them this bad. So damn, what's gonna happen when they put them on those boats and send them over there across that water like that? They knew then that it was a different kind of slavery. You on this side of the door, you get, you know, you like damn near a family member. But as soon as you go into this castle, you getting treated like worse than stray animals on the street. They can kill you. You see, this is, you cannot tell me that our Africans are some of the smartest people on this planet. They built all these great institutions, sophisticated science, math, astronomy, traversed the world. And you telling me they couldn't figure out after 350 years that the slavery that they had in Ghana and the other parts of West Africa and Central Africa was different than the slavery that they sold our African ancestors into who landed here in the United States? You're a damn fool if you believe that. At this point, you're just faking ignorance. Stop romanticizing these crimes. Stop. All of them have to pay, period. If we're talking about reparations, everybody who's responsible has to be held responsible.
Cape Coast Castle in modern Ghana, the headquarters of the Royal African Company, a place of misery and terror.
So here we go. Hold on a minute.
They lived in the dungeons as though they were animals, you know, so they weren't given enough food.
All right, here we go. So we got another one. Freeman Network says this. He says African tribal slavery and European chattel slavery are not the same thing. Yeah, we get that. That's not the question, Mr. Freeman, the Freeman Network. The question is, what did the Africans know in 350 years? The question is, did they know that they were selling us into this sort of horrible system that would even hold our children and our children's children in bondage? That's the question after 350 years with Africans going and coming and people being kidnapped and then released after 10, 12, 15 years, and then they themselves coming back and becoming slavers. This is what I'm trying to ask you. Yeah, I know. See, we like to romanticize our African brothers' involvement in this atrocity. We like, oh no, they didn't know what they were doing. We want to allow them to plead the benefit of ignorance. Oh no, they didn't know what they were doing.
DennisSpurling got the mic on fire.
Black father, I have black son.
Tune in, weekly feeling inspired. From the heart, real talk ignite. Every episode brings a light. Subscribe, hit the like, won't you dare. Share the love, you know it's family. Join us every week, don't be late. Drop some coins in the collection plate. Drop some coins, enjoy the ride. Come say hi, catch the wave, don't pass by. Lifted spirits always in sight. In this podcast, joy takes flight. Subscribe, hit the like, won't you dare. Share the love, you know it's fair. Join us every week, don't be late. Drop some coins in the collection plate. Drop some coins.
Donation. I thought it was a trap.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
You know that.
Your ass, class, don't come over here. Now, you tall black mother.
Women up inside.
I don't give a fuck about